Welcome to this beautiful platform. We are talking to young women who are determined to change their communities. These wonderful young women have started their own initiatives with nothing but aiming to change their communities. Through determination and proper mentorship, we believe that they are going far.
Every woman deserves to be in a peaceful and a secure space.
Women are socialized to have different roles.
Any action that you do, you must be ready to pay the price.
They have commercialized our bodies in every aspect of life.
You're beautiful before even a man tells you that. Hello, welcome back to the Passing the Baton Podcast. This is where we speak everything women. On today's episode, we are going to be speaking about why violence against women, and if we are to rescue them, where are there access to resources? So with me on the panel, I have amazing ladies. We have dubbed them today a wise woman, gladiator, and a young woman. So we're just gonna hear from them. How was it? How is it? And what do we want to see in the future? And because I will do an injustice in introducing them, allow me to let them tell us who they are and what they do. So I don't know where to start. Gladiator, wise woman. No, we give the wise woman first. So kindly go ahead.
Asante sana. It's so beautiful to be among the wise women and the
Femme Inspire.
Yes. And Gladiator.
Yes.
So my name is Jacinta Mwangaza. Many people know me as Jacinta Makoha, but Mwangaza is my name, and that's the one I prefer to use. I am a gender practitioner. I have served in the government of Kenya, served with the International Development Organization, so the matter of resources is very close to my heart. And I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I love being a woman. Thank you.
Awesome. Moving on to a gladiator. Please tell us who you are and what you do. And maybe a fun fact about you.
Thank you so much,
Marlene, yes.
It is really nice to be in this space with a very, very wise woman, Madam Makoha. I am Sarah Dafala, a woman. I am a gender champion on matters of GBV and an advocate. I am a paralegal, that is a community paralegal, and I'm also a counselor, I do work around survivors. So being the first responders to survivors, I have to give them some counseling. So that is where I happen to be a counselor. I am also a mentor to young women and girls. So many. But being a mother, you are just that leader with no title, with no, what do I say? A mother is everything. A leader, small God to the world, and everything. That is what I am. Thank you so much, Marlene, for having me. We are just coming out of Women's Month. That was March. And I just feel we are still in that mood. And when we are talking about women, it brings so much things that us, like Kenyan women, we pass through a lot. And I'll just bring us back to a very, very difficult time that we had. That is last year. We were killed. Women, we were killed like rats. We were being dumped everywhere. And when we are speaking about women, it is a matter that it is very close to my heart. And at one point, I'll be so emotional because we need our dignity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Ivona Pila. I'm a young woman. I'm African. I'm currently a mentor on matters sexual reproductive health, menstrual hygiene, and I'm really passionate about girls being able to speak out and finding their confidence And I think that's one thing that contributes to my journey also in learning psychology as a student. So being able to apply what I learn and being able to give back to the community by providing the psychological support that they need, especially with matters to do also with GBV and stuff like that. Just being able to break down complex issues that the girls go through and bring it down to their level, things that they do not understand, like the policies. So I'm very passionate about everything young women, young girls, and I would call myself a proud feminist. Yeah. So it's really nice to be in this space today.
Awesome. So you have had it for yourselves, dear viewers. And so just get ready for the amazing, rich information we're going to get from this lady. So this is the trajectory we're going to take. So me telling a woman, be strong without support is not empowerment, it is survival. So how was it? How is it? And how do we want it to be? So because we are standing on your shoulders today, tell us, how was it back then when you talk about violence against women?
Thank you very much. I normally say this matter is, it started those days. The Bible talks about a woman called Tamar who was raped in her own house, their father's household, by her stepbrother. And the silence around it was deafening. And finally, one of the brothers killed the other brother, and the father said nothing. He was a king. And so for me, when I think about violence against women, because now my faith, I go back to the Bible, I see really what happened there and what was done about it. I mean, we look at women like Bathsheba, minding her business and then being called in by a king. So then how do you really think about that? So my thought is it's an ancient issue, and it is an issue that so much silence has been around it. So it took courage for women to start to speak about it. Because even though Tamar called for help, her voice was not heard. But in our time, we said our voices must be heard. And so I was part of the group that went to Beijing. Before Beijing, there was Nairobi Forward-Looking Strategies. So Kenya was actually one of the African countries to host it. They came out with very critical issues. We realized that even as we talk about violence against women, we can't do it alone. And that's why we moved from women in development to gender and development, because we say there's a role for men to play in ending violence against women and girls. And so when we went to Beijing, we looked at all the critical areas. And one of them, of course, was violence against women and girls, women in armed conflict, women and the economy, the issues of poverty, decision-making, power sharing, and all that kind of thing. And right now we talk about climate change. That time we were talking about women and the environment. And then, of course, we zeroed in. And Africa is the one that said we must look at the girl child particularly, because the issues surrounding the girl child from the time of birth, when we have a girl child, when we bring them home with the girl child, they will 3 times. With a boy child, it will be 4 times. So already there is a discrimination right from the time of birth. And so as you continue to grow, when you go to school, at that time, a lot of the books were not giving girls aspiration. So it was like the only professions you have is nursing and teaching and all that, very noble professions. But I mean, there are girls who are not, who did not want just that. So we fought to see, so there is psychological violence, there is physical violence, there's economic violence. There are many types of violence. So when we talk about violence against women and girls, the sphere is quite big.
Yeah, it's beautiful that you're saying violence is not only physical. I just want you to go back into it. For our viewers who think kupiga tu ndio violence, please just go back into the types of violence again.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we do have verbal violence. Someone can tell you a word. Especially now on this one, actually women are good at that. We can tell a man a word that makes the man go crazy. You don't tell him, so you think you are a man. That kind of thing. And even fellow women to women, this one is ugly. Really diminishing somebody. So that kind of violence, psychological violence, emotional violence is violence. And then we have political violence where you will exclude you. Like for instance, in Northeastern, I've been working on a program where the clans came together for peace to agree, Clan Malin will give us a governor. Clan Dafala will give us the member of parliament. Clan Adil will give us, nobody wanted a woman representative. No clan wanted that. So they called it negotiated democracy. But when we looked at it, we unpacked it and we said it is not democracy because women are not on the table. So that kind of is also violence. So we call it institutional violence. And then there is, economic violence where women cannot inherit. Because you are a girl, you are where you are going to get married is where you'll get your inheritance. So this land is only for your brothers. That is also economic violence, and it is serious violence because it disempowers the woman and it makes the girls not have choices. When they are faced with, let's say, domestic violence in their marriages, then they really don't have something to fall back on. But if they were allowed to have their own property, they were taken to school together with their brothers. Like at that time, many girls were not really taken to school because their brothers received priority. So there are many forms of violence against women and girls. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for breaking that down for us. And so we'll just go to Dafala. How is it right now when we speak about violence against women?
Yes, when we speak about violence against women, now it is on the rise because women, we are seeing every now and then women are killed. We are seeing every now and then women are subjected to violence, like even in political spaces, women are not given that goodwill for them to be there to lead others. So if you go back even in our homes, you will see even at homes, violence is always on women, girls. And that one, we still have those, how does it called? Hizo mafikirio za zamani, msichana cannot do anything. Like reading, like going to good schools, like going, yani msichana bado yuko, ametengwa kidogo. However much we are trying so much to do the empowerment. But again, now, like this femicide that is going on every now and then, it still shows us, however much we are saying girls are empowered, still there's, I'll say haters. They see these girls being empowered maybe like when someone is at school. For instance, the girl who was killed yesterday, she was in a campus, killed at school. Then this girl, she knows her rights. This girl is very educated. This girl has all that it takes for her to take a good security of herself. But still someone had to kill that girl. Just maybe because she was not killed out of school. Then it means bado kuna cultures zinaona msichana hafai kukua penye yuko. Because even when you hear the stories behind how this girl was killed, it is someone trailed this girl mpaka at school, and it is someone who is very close to her that made that killing. So we are not safe. Our security is still not there. The violence is still projecting in all trends. You might think that maybe sexual is only the violence that we know, but a lot of violence is still happening. So I'll not say we are better. We are still not anywhere, and we need to cover our canvas to see that women are free and have very safe environment to live in.
Awesome. And I just want to circle it back to you, Ma'am Mwangaza. She's saying of how the cases have gone to a rise. How was it back then? Were we, because I think there's so much empowerment, but the more the empowerment, it seems like the more the chaos. How was it back then?
At that time we didn't even have the legislations in place, but now we have the legislations. And at that time also we were looking at mechanisms, institutions that can actually be able to support the woman to be able to be who she wants to be, and if she faces violence, what can be done about it. And at that time also we now have the National Gender Equality Commission, which was not there at that time. We now have the State Department for Gender. Our desire was actually to have a ministry, because you see with a ministry, then when the national when the budget is being made, then the money that will go to gender will actually be in the ministry. But when it's a State Department of Gender, it's a smaller unit because it's State Department for Gender Affirmative Action. And so there are 3 in one. So when the budget is being given, it will be divided in 3. So that means now the resources will not be sufficient for the kind of work that is needed. And at the same time, when you really zero in on violence against women and girls, the referral chain for criminal justice is very complicated. So what the State Department of Gender has done together with the development partners is to put in place GBV working group at the national level, which then goes down to the county level and goes all the way to so there are actually 5 working groups within the State Department of Gender, which now are supposed to address that. But at that time, it wasn't there. So those are the things that we were working on. If you look at Beijing, there were 12 critical areas of concern. Before we went to Beijing, we made sure that each of the critical areas of concern had a working group, so to speak. But when we came back, it was dissolved. So we had to start again from scratch.
Yeah.
So what she's saying is very important because the mechanisms need to be strengthened, the institutions need to be strengthened, they need to be resourced properly, and both human resources and critical material resources. Like what she said, someone trailing this girl, if that is now urban development, I don't know which school it was, because KCCT. So this is where now we talk in every sphere. We are looking at what are the gender issues that actually can be able to lead to violence against women and girls. So we are looking at urban planning. How is the streets? How are the street lights? How are the security mechanisms? And so those are some of the areas. There's still a lot to be done, but definitely we are not where we were. Like now, the laws are there, the penal code, the revisions to the gender policies are there, and that actually helps. The police, we've worked with the police, now they understand. The way they used to treat people, when you go, you are just treated like, that's a misdemeanor, go and sort it out.
Yeah.
What did you do to get raped? Now this girl, someone would maybe ask, why did she get killed? That kind of insensitive handling was that at that time was rampant, but now you can see there is improvement.
Yeah.
The people will walk with you. There's empathy. The media will also report it in a nice way, in a way that will be able to carry the family. The activists are there. Like now you can see there's many layers of us. The femme inspired, the gladiators are there. So we work now in a team, which was not like that before. Before, we just knew each other. Okay, we knew in this district, there's so-and-so in this district. We were fewer. We were not very many, but we worked very well together. And we also looked at those who had gone ahead of us. But now it is even better because now you are all here. So we can be able to see a future. To prevent, because I also say it's not just response, it's also prevention. What could have led this person to actually making sure that he kills this child, Why?
Yeah.
So is there no way we can actually solve problems before they escalate to that level? So that is for me now a critical matter. Prevention is better than cure.
Beautiful. So to our young lady, listening to how it was then, how it is now, what does the future look like? I know life is not linear, so you might not know everything that how the future looks like, but I believe principles do work. So what do you think the future looks like?
I think from the future, looking at the innovations that are coming up and looking at how outspoken the Gen Zs and the young people are right now, I feel with time we are going to be even more informed because we're now starting to have more creative innovations that have ways of tackling these issues we're dealing with. For example, like the end femicide movement, the different the online platforms like the Twitter Spaces and the Twitter chats that happen. So because we're in a digital era as well, I feel like years from now we're going to be more informed, more articulate, and even more innovative when it comes to dealing with such issues, especially in the digital way, because a lot of young people mostly spend their times on phones, and also this technology has also become a site for cybercrime, and this cybercrime comes in a way of you'll get a solicited message on your phone as an SMS or a picture. Those who are in relationships, some people take intimate photos. They end up being leaked because of disagreement or something. We tend to forget that, in the media as well, there's this cybercrime that happens. And being young people as well, we need to be able to be aware and to know what measures you have to take to keep yourself protected from whatever might happen in the future. So I feel like going ahead, we're going to be very intentional in the work we're doing. We're going to have better avenues for dealing with the perpetrators and reducing the victim shaming and the victim blaming, and also protecting the victims themselves, not shunning them out. Because right now, victim shaming still happens. And it's happening in a way that it takes someone a year or some months for them to speak out, because they fear, right now if I speak out, no one will believe me, or they'll be like, why was she wearing that? Why was she at this place at this time? But you cannot justify sexual harassment or sexual violence because, for example, the young girl in South Africa, Dan, who was assaulted, it's very sad. And looking at the online platform TikTok, I was looking through the comments, and it was mentioning, the way her mother dresses her and everything. It's what she was wearing. But then you look at it in a way that this is a 7-year-old, and the school was supposed to be protecting her. So that's already a letdown. So even we ourselves have to take responsibility in holding ourselves accountable for taking care of these young kids, these young children, because sexual harassment and sexual violence doesn't only happen to mature people, but it also happens to that baby, that young girl, that young child. And it can be the person next to you. It can be your caregiver. It can be the shamba boy. It can be the gate person. Yeah. So you can never fully trust someone 100%. And it goes both ways with both the male child and the female child. So it's just about being aware and also letting the children themselves know, or bad touches are what? Do I know my private parts? Or if someone touches me and I feel uncomfortable, it means I've been violated. So it's just, in the future, I'm seeing young kids will be more informed. They'll be able to know their boundaries as well. They'll be able to speak out and tell them, oh, mom or dad, today I was touched badly by my teacher, So it's just these things that I'm seeing are going to change when we're moving forward.
Brings me to this, the story of the 7-year-old girl has been taking rounds on social media. And what really pissed me off was that it did not even happen this month, last year. So this lady has been following up on this thing, and it saddens me that the mother has pictures of what it looks like, but still she's being taken hukuna. So diabolical. And I think the other day in Nililan, they're actually perpetrators also have rights.
Yeah, apparently.
I was so mad. I was like after that story, I think in this NGO space, I've really met some really saddening stories, but that one was so sad. Maybe I'll just put it out there as it was. The mother said her anus was big. The tissue roll, the tea roll, the brown thing or white thing. Yeah. That's how 7-year-old. So you can imagine the force. You can imagine the pain this child is in. This is a 7-year-old. And apparently she was dragged. So akiamka and you're like, what's happening? Yeah. This pain.
I think I remember those days. Professor Maria Nzomo actually called for men to be castrated, perpetrators to be castrated at that time. So we were not lenient. It's just that, society is what it is. We have the human rights movements as well, even as we are saying women's rights are human rights. And so human beings are humans. So there's also a move to work with perpetrators for rehabilitation, because, many times when they go back to the community and nothing is done, because we focus on the victim, which is very important for sure. But it's also important that we also focus on the perpetrators. When research was done, we found that most of the perpetrators also have a history of having been violated And nothing was done in terms of the healing process of the perpetrator when at the formation stage when it was happening. So that's why we also came up with the mechanisms of how do you then handle the perpetrators as well, so that we don't lose the whole of humanity, because if people are sinners, and unfortunately, when you don't really do something. I remember one time I talked to one of a very critical, male support, person that we have worked with for years, and I said, no, we need to really do something about prevention, because we need to talk to the perpetrators, find a way, restorative justice mechanisms, so that we can see how can we prevent, what can we do to make sure that this does not happen again. And he told me, no. We cannot even work with perpetrators. I am not going to be part of it. And I could see he really was angry about it. So from the beginning, this has been an area, a dilemma area that needs to be looked at. If you ask me, this is a major gap, because prevention is better than cure. That is what I believe. And in Beijing, I remember the call was stop agonizing and start organizing. So how do we organize when people come out, when they are in prison, when they are in those remand homes? How do we organize to deal with these perpetrators, so that we can see what is really driving you, what is it that can be done, and what are the institutions? Because we did a study on intimate partner violence, and we talked to the gangs, the youth gangs at the coast and other places. And one of the things they said, nobody is working with them. So even when they want to leave the gangs, to be able to go straight, to do the right things, where do they go? So they say they want people to work with them. They want religious leaders. And I just came from a program where I was calling forth the religious leaders to take action, not just to sit there and preach. You need to preach, but you also need to step out in the community and do what wise women are doing, gladiators are doing, and all that. We need everybody to put their hands on the plow for prevention and redemption. When people have gone wrong, what can we do so that we prevent? And make it also, at the same time, the criminal justice system is ndio iwe funzo kwa wengine. So that also needs, the sanctions that the community puts on this person, so that they know this is wrong. Yes, it happened to you, but you don't have to repeat it, because the way you felt pain, this is the same way this person is going to feel. So the laws now are there. Of course, the human rights, we also say the perpetrator also has rights. And that's where the problem is, because when they are given when they go to the court and they are given bonds, they go back to the community, they go and threaten the victim and say, utadu, mimi sasa niko nje. And they actually repeat. Many of them actually repeat to abuse the victim. And, we call them survivors when they have survived the ordeal. But it is a really serious issue. So the other area is, if it's a family issue, the safe houses, it's also an area that we have a major weakness in the system. So that where do you take this person? I think this is the question you are asking. This person is being violated within their family system, within their community. Where do they go? So we have the Witness Protection Agency, but we also need safe houses where someone can be able to recover. Now, we are urging people. There are many people who have wonderful homes, and then, time comes, the children are out and all that. Take in people. Let them have time to reflect on their situation and make a decision. So we are talking about survivor-centered interventions, not what you think, but sitting with the survivor. What do you really require? How can we support you? So that someone can be able to grow and come back to be able to do what they want.
Yeah, I've noted something. Of course, I've noted everything you've said, but one thing that has stood out is that there's a difference between a survivor and a victim. So a survivor is the one who has survived, and the victim is the one who has succumbed, or sometimes, not necessarily.
Before you become a survivor, you go through a process. Of course, sometimes you are dead, so you are a victim and you die. But sometimes you are still really, really depressed. You are going through so much. You are not able to be like that widow who kept going to the judge to say, give me my rights, Now, by the time you are now coming up, we are nurturing you, and you come out and you are able to speak up, even to give your testimony and say, this is what happened to me, and I need justice to be done, like this mother who came out and gave the information. And then we have the statistics as well, because that is the other area where sometimes it becomes difficult, because the donors, they will also ask you, what are the statistics? Why should we support this and not that? So it's very important, the cases to be reported. And you see, because it's such a traumatic experience, it is difficult for people to report, and especially men. So, and boys, because you see, when we talk about violence against women, I mean, the boys are also going through it,
Yes.
but it's difficult even for a woman to report. And so, and even if it's your child, you are traumatized. You go crazy.
Yeah.
And even fathers go crazy when their children are,
Yeah.
So we are saying everybody has a role to play in nurturing that person from being a victim to becoming a survivor. But when you report in the police still use the term victim because, you have reported the case.
Okay. So Apila, listening to this, do you feel like the policies in place are fanning into flame the unethical behaviors? Let me not say men per se, but are the policies fanning into flame these unethical behaviors where this one raped so-and-so or sodomized so-and-so, now they're free, so they're like, maybe I can go do it again. Do you think if policies were to be altered, that mtu anajua, by the way, ukifanya hii, you're deaded, What do you have to say about that?
I think most policies need to be revised, and you need to look at them more. I think, there needs to be a change, because when you see how fast a child molester or a perpetrator, and then they plead not guilty, how fast they're released.
Someone who has mtu ameiba kuku anakanga jela sana than someone who has done
yeah. So I think there needs to be changes to these policies, and I feel like we as young people need to be included in these policy and decision making spaces, because the older policies and stuff, they are not as inclined or adjacent to us and the generation right now, and also the cases right now. Cases have now changed. There are new types and forms of molestation, so you cannot use a specific sexual violence act to rule out another one. So I think that's why also a lot of people get away with a lot of
unethical behaviors.
Exactly. So putting this in space and putting this into consideration, we need to go back and revisit, and also make sure there is no leniency for someone who has connected a sexual act, just as they do for those who have committed murder.
Yeah.
So there should be that no rule out, and there should be like a penalty that covers everything as a whole, whether you've committed it just by mistake, I don't know, by small, because there's no justification of murder. So that same way there should be no justification of sexual violence or sexual harassment as well. So I feel like everything just needs to be looked at as a whole, instead of breaking it down and justifying some things because of the time or the time frame, or because someone has pleaded not guilty. Just like for that case where the head teacher refused to appeal to court and to get his himself tested, because he must, now everyone looks at him like a perpetrator, because why are you refusing to go and be tested to see if you're the one who has violated the child? So I feel like it's those small things also everyone and the lawmakers need to take into consideration as to why is this person acting this way, and what about the other kids? What about the other people who are silent about it? Because maybe this mother was the only one who was observant on her child, and she was able to notice this. But what about those who are younger and older than her? I know it takes a lot for someone to speak out, but I feel like we also need to capacity build on steps to take to report such cases, be it anonymously. I feel like that's the safest route, and having the whistleblower protection, I feel like that is very much needed, because once you're the one who has reported the case, it all comes back to you.
Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes you can even be suspected. So it's all about having a protective system for the victim and the person who has gone through it, the survivor, and at the same time having a maximum penalty for a person who has committed the crime.
Yeah. Dafala, whistleblower. How is a whistleblower protected now that you've been in this for quite some time?
Yes, whistleblowers are always protected, and just like Madam has said, we have witness protection. that always protect the victims and the whistleblowers. Again, there's that anonymous way of reporting. But now all these things are in place. But now the gap is so many people from the informal settlement, let's say that, don't know where to access them. I might be privileged knowing where to get them, but look at someone down in Lindi, down in Madari, down in wherever they are, they don't know that it is there. So just like you said, we need a lot of awareness, capacity building on how to bring the information closer to people. And these offices also, our prayer and maybe request, they should not sit in a big places where someone from Kibra cannot afford to go there. Let them have some sub-offices down at sub-counties so that it will be easier for someone just to walk in and report and get the services that we need. But when we are still talking in boardrooms and in a big hotels with few people, we are not making any difference. But all these things are there, put in place and very well equipped. The problem is implementation.
And would you say these offices are friendly?
Yes, they are friendly, very friendly. But just like I said, when you knock at their door, they are always there to help you and guide you. But the problem is how to access them. Yes.
Okay. Now we've spoken more on the violence against women. So now I'd want us to go into access to resources. Now I've come to you. I'm married. My husband is beating the life out of me. Where do I start from?
Yes, thank you very much. Like I mentioned earlier, we have very active GBV working groups. And within those working groups, we actually have hotlines that someone can call wherever you are. And actually what we do, like for instance, we have 1195, which is the national GBV working group, number, hotline, which you can call from anywhere. And when you call them, they will now call you back. And it's toll-free. When you call 1195, it's toll-free. And we took cognizance of the fact that sometimes men are really shy. They want to talk. We have 1196. Then we have the one for the childline help 116. So, but there are many others. Like we have a program in Coast, which is run by Sauti ya Wanawake Pwani, that also have its own hotline. We have a crew have their own hotline. The National Police Service at some point during COVID, they had their own hotlines. But like Madam Dafala is saying, many people don't know. So that's where the media comes in. That's why it's very important to talk about it, to let people know that when this happens, this is what you should do. We had a program with children called Adopt a Cop with schools, because the schools are also doing quite a bit on GBV management and all that. And they actually used to have the nearest police station where the children can go. And it was when they now got very close to the police that they started sharing some of the underlying causes. Because like parents who send their children to go and buy things in the evening, that kind of thing, and or sell things on the streets in the evening. So those kinds of things, so we were able to look at that. The one of the emerging issues of GBV online is a major issue. It's being discussed by the DCI. We've been working with them to look at how we've done some studies to be able to help them to see how they can actually work. And they're working with young people. Because as we say, this is not something you can sit in the office and do by yourself. You have to work with young people who are technologically savvy, who actually will be able to know how do you even trace, how it happened. Because many people use pseudonyms when it comes to Twitter and all that kind of thing. So basically, there is a referral chain. Once you call that number, then they will tell you what to do. They will work with you, they'll accompany you, and they know the other human rights defenders who are in your locality. They will be able to send you, this person is coming to you, work with this person, call this number, etc. Because one of the reasons of having working groups is to know who is who and who is where. So that from the national level to the county level, etc. Now, the other thing you talked about resources is the gender directorates are the least funded, even at the county level, from the national government to the county level. And we've been talking about gender responsive budgeting from the national level, so that budgets are made with these things in mind. But then the process is long, and many people don't even know how the budgets are done. So, if you are talking about something you want to influence for next year, you have to start now. And at the county level, they have the county integrated development plans. So if this issue is not in that plan, then it will not be budgeted for. So it's very important to have this public awareness, education. We've been having sometimes, especially during the 16 days of activism against GBV, working with the local radio stations. But how many women and young people listen to those stations? So we are saying, let's now make things, modern. Talk to them where they can find that information. So that is now where we are at.
Great. Now, Dafala, in my experience with working with women, we've gotten cases where a lady knows for sure she's being abused. But then she's like, Mintaka, what do you tell such a woman? Anakwambia, okay, utanitoa hapa. Where am I getting the money from? Because again, we've said, like, one organization cannot help everyone. So sometimes there's a limitation. What do you tell such a woman?
Yes, leaving your home, it takes courage. And that courage needs someone who will hold your hand. Yesterday I was in that working group, and one of the recommendations that I made was to look up to survivors, that after the violence, what next? We should not just rely on justice, because this person will go to prison. Then how about the survivor? So yesterday my recommendation was, and I still say it, now that we have a goodwill of the government, they should also budget for that. They should give us kitty, that when a survivor is there, there's somewhere we can get where to put that person to start from. Go there, get empowered. After getting empowered, make that person go and work. Because at the organization level, you'll go at the safe houses, you go stay there, then after some time, they say you are already fine, go back to the community. But you've gone empty-handed. Where are you beginning from? So mine is just to urge all the people that are really working towards GBV to see that a survivor is put comfortably back to the feet. And that is, let us all empower these women. Because a woman from Kibra that has no economic empowerment, has nothing that she's doing for herself, going through violence, if you tell her, get out of that house, for sure she will laugh at you. In fact, she's the one who will even put you in a risk, because she will tell the husband, even Sarah passed here and she's telling me ABCD. So for us, it's just to make sure she gets information, she gets where to report the case. Then when it happens that this case is heard on mediation, maybe the first stage, this is where now the government should come in. See this woman, how can we make this woman better? And by empowering this woman, she will not accept. I'm very sure even in this room, looking at you, the Gen Zs, I don't think you will allow someone to oppress you.
Yeah.
And this is where we say, let someone be there to help you come out of the oppression.
Yeah.
Because if it will not happen, that is what we'll see, like the one which happened.
Okay. You've said something around Gen Z, we don't allow us to be attacked, for lack of a better word. But Apila, we've done with you mentorship sessions where ladies are like, mi mwanaume asiponichapa by the hanipendi. What do you what do you have to say on that? And then maybe even as you finish, just give us your call to action briefly so that we can call it an episode.
I feel like, that's so true. That's so true. I feel like as Gen Zs, toxic relationships have been so normalized. Like you feel if the relationship is not going as smooth as it's supposed to be, if a guy is treating you right, you're like, hey, there's something wrong somewhere. Like we don't argue, you don't have any problems, but it's very normal for you to be in a healthy relationship, not only with your partner, but also with your friends. So an issue where someone is like, hey, if he's not beating me, but he doesn't love me or something, that is a wrong type of mindset that we have, and we need to change that. So it's just, how would I say, like you've accustomed yourself with the trauma of being beaten to the point that if you're not beaten by someone who apparently loves you, you feel like you're not loved. So I feel we just need to reintegrate our mindset and change it so that we are able to receive a healthy relationship peacefully, and be able to also allow yourself to be in a healthy relationship which does not involve physical, verbal, or any form of violence. And then to sum up, my call to action is, we've talked of resources. And when we look at the safe houses, I feel like there needs to be more programs on reintegration into society, whereby, as Dafala was saying, you have to have programs where women are able to fund for themselves. We can have this, what are they called? Hands-on programs where someone learns how to maybe knit, how to do hair. Such skill building programs that help as a money generating form of income, which will help them to fend for themselves, or even for those who have children and for their children. Just being able to support yourself by learning a skill, this will help more people be able to walk out of such toxic relationships, so that by the time they go to a safe house and they learn these programs and these skills, they're able to settle down when they get out back into society.
Awesome. Tafala, briefly, in capital letters, briefly, tell us your parting shot.
Yes, for now, my parting shot is, I urge the decision-making organs, let the perpetrators work for survivors. I'm not happy to see a survivor or the perpetrator going to prison, relaxing, eating our tax money, and coming out even more fat, because there alikuwa tu anakula ana kazi ingine. Leaving the survivor working very hard with your children, the perpetrator's child, without any contribution. So mine, all perpetrators, even the one already in all these prisons, let the government see where to put them to work for all the survivors. Because that is the only way a survivor will feel has got a justice.
Beautiful, beautiful. On to Mama Mwangaza. You're indeed a Mwangaza. Briefly again, tell us your parting shot. And even as you finish, when you think of women, what song comes to mind? Yes.
Asante
sana.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really feel that we have to look at the supply side and the demand side. So on the supply side, I feel that the government really needs to look at the issue of resourcing, the gender-responsive budgeting, and I'm glad that the initiative is already on. National Gender Equality Commission is already working with the Treasury and the different institutions to make sure that resourcing actually happens. And on the demand side, the strengthening of the survivors' voices, because when we speak and we are able to show by the statistics and the data that is needed, and to also really speak up, when there's an opportunity to go out there, to be able to speak up, to organize ourselves, to advocate for comprehensive services, so that from the National Police Service all the way to the health sectors, all the way to the judiciary and all that, resources are there to support the survivor along the way. And also just to have, like I said, prevention is better than cure. To have programs that will help us to have better relationships. To really, these toxic relationships, whether it's within the family or in the social space or in the workplace and all that, not good at all. How can we appreciate ourselves better? And as Pilar said, young people, we need to appreciate who we are. And that's why the song that comes to me is, I am a superwoman.
Woman. I'm a superwoman. Hey.
So, you know, you're a superwoman, you are a Wonder Woman, you are an amazing person made in God's image. So appreciate yourself and don't allow yourself to be violated.
Yeah.
When you are violated, make noise, ask people. And
Yeah.
I'm praying that we have proper support mechanisms to be able to strengthen the survivor who steps up.
Beautiful. And there you have it, dear viewers. Violence against women is not a joke. And I wish all men would know how women thrive under their security. So, and even a shout out to all the gentlemen who are out here doing amazing things for women. Kudos, keep up the good work. And not only look out for your wife, look out for each and every other person. This might be your sister, your wife, anyone female. And that wraps up our episode. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye.